So I would like to ask you, what does a typical session with you look like?
Well, sessions in person or online can generally be the same sort of session. And it's not one size fits all. I can tell you that spiritual autobiography is a lot of what we do in our sessions. Yoga postures, deep breathing, we do sound meditations. If the person is available locally, I'm also able to do some of the cellular spirituality, which is sometimes massage, craniosacral, energy work, and things of that sort. And long distance, we can have a lot of different things accomplished. Sound meditation can do very similar things as what craniosacral actually does. When you're making certain tones that are coming out, as you sing, you've heard people do the and there's a lot of different meditations that fall under Sanskrit and Gurmukhi. And we have 80-something reflexology points inside of our palate. And the way the antique languages work, they actually reflex, our tongue actually reflexes to those spots in our palate. And then when we allow the tone to come out very loudly, we actually receive a craniosacral session. It is a very unique experience. When I took Kundalini yoga, I remember for the first time doing these meditations with groups of people. And there is this feeling of connectedness when we're all singing the same tone, the same words at the same time. There's a physical aspect to how this works. So inside of our skull, in between each suture, which is pieces of bone, there is something called the osseous, and it's a tissue membrane. And sometimes those get stuck. Well, you can't actually work it like a massage muscle that you would on an arm or leg. And so by having vibration, it causes that tissue to release. And you have this euphoric feeling along with the tones. It is, I don't really have words that can explain the actual experience. It is something that when I'm working with people online or in person, it becomes a daily practice for them. There are certain tones that you can do and what they call in yoga mudras, which is a particular physical posture, sometimes doing something particular with your hands as well as making a sound. And when you're doing this, there's a lot of scientific study that goes behind what Kundalini has done that allows people to release certain emotions. You can learn how to release and detoxify various organs in your body, adrenals, kidneys, liver. And we talked one time about rising your vibration and frequency. And what are some of those ways that we can do that other than prayer and meditation? Sometimes inside of our mind, if we're going through something that's difficult, it's not so easy to settle down and get into that inner peace. So with Kundalini, by doing something physical, something that includes tone, sometimes breath work, you really don't have an opportunity to be thinking a lot. So it clears your mind, and the physical aspect of doing the scientific postures just release and shed certain emotions like fear, anxiety, and depression. It feels like, other than saying euphoric, I could say a miraculous experience where you could walk into a class or into a moment of by yourself when you're doing a meditation with Kundalini postures. You may walk in feeling maybe anger or sadness, and by the time you're done, you have shed some of those emotions. And so if you're coming in and you feel depressed, going from depressed to anger is actually a movement in a good direction. Depression can feel numb. And if you're going to anger, that actually you're feeling something. If you come in and you feel angry and you walk out feeling frustrated, you're still moving along the emotional experience. If you come in feeling frustrated and then you walk out feeling neutral, well, that's a movement in a good direction. If you walk in feeling neutral and you come out feeling joyful or creative or in that awe moment, well, we're moving right along. And I think that I mentioned another time about If you're depressed or angry or having anxiety, it's a tough way to make an important decision. But if you can move into an opportunity where you can feel joy or neutral, it's a better place to make an important decision. So that's one aspect of what I do with people, either online or in person. Spiritual autobiography is another aspect of what we do. We'll have a conversation about an event that may have happened, and maybe you'll take a week and you'll write out a 3 to 5 page description of what has happened. And you try to really hone it in where it's just about this one event and what your feelings were going towards that, what they were as you ended that event, and then we'll discuss it. And while we discuss it, there are words and sentences that we take out to really hone in that experience. And the more we do that, the clearer we get to that opportunity where it releases. And unfortunately or fortunately, we have to go back to those deep feelings that we've had when that event has happened in order to release it. And I hold the space. I consider it holding a frame where my clients come in. They could be Picasso, Rembrandt, Monet, but I'll hold the frame steady while you paint your picture and that you make your beautiful artwork. And I enjoy listening to people and their spiritual autobiographies, going down the journey with them as they express these emotions and these events that have happened, and watching them heal. It's been a wonderful journey. So those are just a few things that True Life Coaching for the Soul combined with the Soul Place do to help people receive real world techniques that they can do on their own. Sometimes people choose to have 3 to 5 sessions with me, and they go off on their own and they work on these techniques to keep their vibration high and to keep their alignment. People have asked me, what is it about the cross? And it's not just a Christian subject. I look at it sometimes this way. There's the linear aspect, which is the horizontal part, and that seems to be the day-to-day experiences of where our emotions rise and fall. And we have routines where we're going to work, we see people, we have good interactions with people, and sometimes not so good, but we don't always have time to sit back, reflect, rise our vibration, let it go, and get on with our day. So I talk about the vertical part of the cross, where we're trying to align ourselves with God and to shed certain emotions that are linear. And for me, when people say they only pray part of the day, I think the vertical alignment is like taking in a breath. And when you start to get into the practice of keeping your vertical alignment, it takes a while, but if you keep your mind directed on the goal, which is to be in this alignment so that you can feel joy, you can feel awe, you can feel creativity, or maybe not all the time, but that your intention is to try to get back there. I believe that we have emotions for a reason, and it helps us grow and shed. And in the contrast of feeling anger or abandonment, the joy and creativity feels so good. But if we only lived in joy and creativity, how would we know how good that is if we didn't have something in contrast?